What if everything, and I mean everything, was connected? Not just in some philosophical, poetic sense, but in a real, physical way. Well, today, we're diving into a worldview that does just that. It links the very cells in your body to the farthest stars, all through the power of consciousness. Let's get into it. Just stop and think about that for a second. What if every single thing you've ever experienced, every joy, every heartbreak, every laugh, wasn't just stored in your brain, but was literally recorded in the fabric of your body? This idea? Well, this is our jumping off point for a much, much bigger story. So, to get our heads around this huge cosmic idea, we've actually got to start small, incredibly small, in fact. We're going to start our journey right here, inside ourselves, by looking at the human body as its own conscious system, a living record of reality. And that brings us to this wild concept, cellular memory. The idea is simple, but its implications are massive. Forget thinking of your body as just a machine that gets you around. Imagine it's a living, breathing library. The theory goes that every single one of your experiences gets encoded right into the cell membranes of your tissues and organs. It suggests that things like trauma or even deep-seated habits might not just be in our heads, but physically written into our very being. So how does this giant recording process even happen? Well, it's happening all the time through these 7 basic life processes. Think about it. From the food you eat to the air you breathe, every single interaction with the world is an input. It's all feeding into this incredibly rich and detailed memory bank that in turn shapes how you perceive everything. And here's where it gets really interesting. This theory suggests our physical state directly messes with our mental state. You see, our cells are constantly emitting these tiny packets of light called biophotons. But if we get dehydrated, our cells can't store and release this light properly. And that, believe it or not, can literally darken our perception of reality. It's an amazing link between just drinking enough water and your whole outlook on life. Okay, so if what's happening inside us can shape our personal reality, what about the world outside? Let's zoom out. We're going to go from the body to the fundamental forces that build everything we see. What are the actual building blocks of reality itself? In this worldview, reality is built by 2 forces working together, light and darkness. But we have to get the whole good versus evil idea out of our heads. It's not about that. Think of them more like cosmic construction workers. Light radiates outward. It expands and creates space. Darkness, on the other hand, concentrates inward. It condenses and fills that space to become what we call matter. They're basically 2 sides of the same cosmic coin, constantly creating the world around us. So how do our brains even handle this constant dance of light and dark without going crazy? Well, that's where something called Gestalt perception comes in. Our brains are basically hardwired to find patterns and create meaning. Instead of seeing a chaotic storm of light particles and matter, we see a unified whole. We see a tree, a face, a galaxy. Our consciousness is constantly building a cohesive world out of all these fundamental pieces. All right, we've gone from inside our own bodies to the basic forces of reality. Now, let's take another huge leap outward. What if consciousness isn't just an individual thing? What if the planet, the whole planet, has a mind of its own? And this is where we get to the noosphere. The name comes from the Greek word nous, which means mind. And that's exactly what it is, a sphere of mind. It's imagined as a thinking layer that's enveloping the entire planet, made up of every human thought, every idea, every invention, every dream. In this view, all of humanity is basically forming a new, conscious organ for planet Earth. And the implications of that are, well, they're pretty profound. This quote from the source material really gets at it. It suggests that if the noosphere is real, then matter itself could become communicative. The world around us, the rocks, the trees, the oceans, could literally start talking to us. It's a truly mind-bending idea. Okay, so let's run with that. If there's a global mind, can we, interact with it? Can we tune it like a radio? Well, that's exactly where this next idea, the practice of Noospherix, comes into play. Noospherix is, put simply, the art and science of engineering the noosphere. It's this wild blend of technology and metaphysics that doesn't see our collective thought as just some passive cloud of ideas. No, it sees it as a dynamic field, something we can actively shape, influence, and modulate. So how in the world would you even do that? Well, the theory proposes some fascinating, almost science fiction-like tools. Just look at some of these. You've got concepts like syntropic pulses, directed energy bursts that could align our collective thoughts to create global harmony. or radionic networks, broadcasting specific vibrations to amplify creativity worldwide. There's even the idea of using nanobots to inject information and create hotspots of awareness. We're talking about a radical vision of actively engineering consciousness on a planetary scale. All right, for our final jump, we're zooming out one last time. We're going beyond the planet, beyond humanity, and into the cosmic and the transdimensional. This is where it gets really strange. And out here, in this cosmic web, we run into the concept of hyperbeings. Now, these aren't your typical sci-fi aliens. They're described as transdimensional entities who have evolved way beyond normal human limits. You can think of them as advanced players, maybe even gardeners, in the evolution of a global and maybe even cosmic superorganism. So what's their purpose? According to this worldview, their incredible abilities, like processing insane amounts of information, living long enough to work on cosmic skill projects, and communicating psychically, they all serve a single goal: to harmonize information. They are the weavers, integrating diverse knowledge to drive innovation and knit together the collective intelligence of the entire universe. So, after this entire journey, from our own selves to the forces of reality to the mind of our planet and out to transdimensional beings, where does it all lead? It all points to one final truly mind-blowing conclusion, a concept called grand panpsychic solipsism. It's a fancy name for a pretty staggering idea that everything, you, me, this planet, the farthest star, is all a projection from a single universal mind. In this view, we're not just observers of the universe. We are all active thinking parts of one great cosmic thought. And that leaves us with one last massive question to chew on. If it's true, if we are all expressions of one unified consciousness, all participating in its grand unfolding, then what is the unique role that you are here to play? What part of this cosmic story are you here to tell?